Okay.
My topic is corporal punishment on children. The claim I'm responding to is that children who go through corporal punishment have a significant positive effect in the world. Corporal punishment is defined as the infliction of punishment on the body and should be discouraged. The advocate's secondary claims include that schools have more intensive and restrictive children due to corporal punishment. Advocates of corporal punishment believe spanking is effective in teaching a child as they grow up, and that those who have gone through different levels of corporal punishment have become better people. In response to secondary claim 1, the advocate uses James Dobson, a Christian leader and founder of the board of Focus on the Family, who believes that corporal punishment in elementary schools, but has never actually been a teacher, thus being the wrong person to apply this to. According to the advocate, in 2008, the principal and the superintendent of an unnamed school in Alpine, Texas, have said that most parents like paddling because it takes care of the punishment. Although this is true, the advocate uses insufficient data due to the fact that there were incidents where parents signed a waiver against it, but were still using corporal punishment against the children. Also, the school district superintendent, Jose Cervantes, said that both the principal and the superintendent have taken other jobs since those incidents, proving wrongdoing. Every public school needs effective methods of discipline, but beating kids teaches violence and does not stop bad behavior, wrote Alice Farmer, the author of a joint report from Human Rights Watch and the American Civil Liberties Union in 2008. She added that corporal punishment discourages learning, fails to deter future misbehavior, and at times provokes it. In response to her secondary claim, the advocate uses statements to prove that spanking is effective in teaching a child as they grow up, but fails to promptly cite them due to not stating the author as well the year it had been created, losing credibility. Some feel that spanking or corporal punishment can often lead to child abuse. It is felt that if a parent spanks their child once, it will be easier to do it again and again for any discipline problem, no matter how severe or mild. In 2005, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reports that 142,000 children were seriously injured from corporal punishment every year in this country. 18,000 of them were permanently disabled. Nearly 70% of the child abuse cases and child prevention service agencies result from corporal punishment. The defense of discipline is raised in 41% of homicide prosecutions when parents accidentally kill their children. Some parents who avoid corporal punishment do so because they feel that it leads to an increase in violence. They feel that it is hypocritical to teach their children that violence is never the answer, and yet resort to spanking to teach their child a lesson. There is a feeling that children who are spanked in order to be disciplined never learn the true difference between right and wrong. It is speculated that instead of learning that it is good to act a certain way, a child will merely avoid those situations or behaviors that have led to punishment. In essence, the child grasps only what is wrong and avoids, as opposed to simply doing what is right. In response to her third secondary claim, the advocate uses biased information by stating an opinion given by an anonymous man on a website, creating confusion within her claim. The advocate also mentions that her, as well as her teacher's children, have become better people due to corporal punishment, thus using his generalizations. Corporal punishment does not help a child to develop into an adult with self-discipline and respect for other people. Instead, it distorts sound judgment and creates antisocial behaviors. Ruptured eardrums, brain damage, and other bodily injuries, and death in some instances are some of the bad and tragic effects of corporal punishment. While the physical damage done to the body can often be treated, the emotional and psychological effects can affect the survivor deeply. Overall, the advocate's information was poorly cited, inaccurate, and fails to provide statistics weakening her claim. Corporal punishment is humiliating and degrading punishment that is not only harmful to children but also violates children's rights. Thank you.
All right, you labeled the claims very clearly. It's easy to follow the speech. The general argument on the first point starts off with a question about qualifications. I think you asked me earlier if we had the same, if we had a refutation on the speech already, and I think we did. And I remembered immediately now because you made the same argument. Dobson's never been a teacher, and again, I think I'm making the same comment here. And what's the source on this? I'm not doubting that you're saying that, but you're making a claim here. We ought to have some evidence on it. So it's almost a repeat of the exact argument that I heard the other night. The challenge doesn't... then there's a challenge about the particular incident, and I was a little confused about how all the information about the administrator and the principal being out of the school now, how does that affect the validity of the incident to generalize from? It was not very clear. I thought the discussion of the other issues on corporal punishment on the second point was a lot clearer. You have a lot of evidence on this point. There's information about the kids being hurt by corporal punishment. We need a source citation on this. There may have been one, but I don't think it was emphasized very clearly. And there's a link to abuse, and there's data on violence, and all those kinds of things, and I think that's Gesundheit, much clearer than some of the arguments that were presented by the advocate, and your explanation on this point was very clear. The transition to the last point was also clear. It's easy to follow. There's not a lot of analysis of the advocate's evidence, but you've got a counterclaim on antisocial behavior. Again, there's not any evidence on this particular point, but your explanation, you kind of are recapping a lot of the points that are being made. I feel a little bit like I'm doing the exact same thing that you do. Put your head down, put your arms behind your back, and plow through it. You look like you're ice skating through the speech instead of, talking to the audience. So you want to be a little careful about that.